back again for week 1 of the AHLPSN this week. T-Sibs, along with the rest of the gang. We'll introduce them in a second, but this is your week 1 show, your preview to week 2, and we hope you had a fun week 1. We have a lot to talk about as far as what went on this past week in this league, and joining me again as usual, DeGraves, 6'9", Advanced, and Matt Lucci. And gentlemen, we got past week 1, all the stuff that happens in the preseason, and getting ready for the week. Finally getting this week underway and getting some games going, and obviously that's what we're here for, to play these games. And we saw a few things happen. We saw players move around. We saw teams start out well and then struggle in the second half of the week. Typically what you would wind up seeing in this league. But, it's a couple of stories right off the bat that I think, you look at. We look at some of the top teams and top scorers. Belleville is one of the teams that's right up there with, with a great line of Grazi, Real Demon, and Kitty King. The other side of it, which unfortunately Matt's going to have to talk about, is Hartford and how things are going there. But let's just get your general thoughts on the week, guys. Let's just start with 6, and and nothing different really from this week compared to any other season we've played, right? I mean, it's status quo. There, you got guys who are trying to figure each other out on the line. You've got defense trying to figure out where they have to position. I think I saw a lot of that when I watched games. You're seeing guys getting to know each other and getting to figure out where their position needs to be. And, you're going to see a lot of people out of position. You're going to see a lot of guys, missing players skating by them. So I think it's typical week 1 stuff that we saw.
Yeah, 100%. As a manager going into week 1, right, I always want to have a winning record, right, of some way, shape, or form, right?
Sure.
5-4 is acceptable. It's not great, but it's acceptable. Some of these teams that are off to a hot start there, you'll see what happens in the future, right? Some of the other teams should start to catch up with moves and trades and things like you're saying, getting used to playing with the guys on their line. How last season, I think we were undefeated through the first week and a half, and look where that ended us, right? A first round outage. So, but yeah, I think you're right by saying, you really got to gel. That first week is a little bit rocky. Transitioning defense to offense, offense to defense. It seems like the offensive lines play together a lot. The defensive lines play together a lot, but they never play together until we get to these games. So, hopefully we see some uptick.
I think we saw a lot of upside in this week as well. Like, some teams that predicted early on last week that it's going to be so at the top of the boards, and some teams that are at the bottom that we kind of predicted would be at the top, to kind of start out the week. But I think this league in the AHL this season is starting to, level out a little bit. I see the talent kind of equalizing itself up and down the boards and on all teams. A lot of close games, low-scoring games, and stuff like that. So a lot of shutouts, goalies having heck of games, So I think the league's kind of formed. So that's good. So.
Advance, did you obviously your team has gotten off to a good start. Do you see anything different from this season than any of the others you've played as far as how guys are getting used to each other, and or do you have enough guys who have been around long enough who understand how league play has to happen and how you need to, get some practice in and be ready for these games?
This season seems to be a better season on my team-wise, just skill-wise, they're better. Last season was a bit of a shit show when it came to Providence. I kind of just called it the burning boat, and you just kind of let it burn. But this time this is a fun one. We got a lot of good guys. We got a lot of good guys in bidding, and we have good management for the most part. I don't do too much, to be honest with you. I'm the raw kind of guy. But Demons, his line is very good, as you saw when they destroyed a team 14-3. My line is a very defensive line with me and Giroux. And now that I'm at the center, it's more of a close down line. And then our first line's our Frenchie line. And you got to have a Frenchie line.
Definitely. Definitely. Those French guys know how to play, right? In terms of my side with Hartford, we've been struggling, but you know what? We're going to turn it all around. It's the beginning of the season. It is what it is. We're going to get some chemistry going in certain lines. We're just trying to figure it all out. Siege has been trying to work it all around and trying to find everything that's going to happen. We're definitely not a team that should be where we're at. That I can guarantee you that there's too much skill in that lineup for sure. So it's something that's going to turn it around. Right now we're on the bottom of the seed, but in the Eastern Atlantic, but it's going to switch around for sure.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about your team. You know, it's funny because I did say that to Siege and Teal last night.
Yep.
Springfield 5-3-1, Hershey 5-4, Penn's 5-4. You know, you got half your league is barely over 500, the other half is under 500. So, starting out 6-3, not great,
Yeah.
but at least you're in the division where it's a bit more forgiving. You don't have guys who are 7-2, 8-1. You've got teams you can easily catch up to.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to work on. I did play a few games with Better Made and Dr. Teabag, and we had some chemistry going. We should have won a game initially. We were up. We were dominating in all aspects of the field in terms of the time on attack and all that. And it just at the end of the period, they ended up tying it up. One of the guys got lagged out. And it kind of switched up all the momentum in that end.
So you're not talking about the Toronto game. You're talking about a different game. Because you played us this week. I was in net, and you guys jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. And I'm like, okay, maybe these guys, maybe these guys have a lot of talent. And then we slowly came back. And unfortunately for you guys, we won that one. But again, you guys jumped out in that one as well. And is there anything?
We were full force.
Yeah.
We were full force. I think what it's a momentum game, right? So if you keep putting pressure down the other side of the end of the ice, you're not going to have issues on your end, right? And what happened is that we started changing the format. You guys adapted to your forwards started adapting and closing it off as well. So we weren't able to get in as much as we wanted to, and it just started. It's a grind and grind. So what's going to happen is that continuously when a team is going to come get it. It's a momentum game, I find. Like once you get a little play that happens your way, and then just falls in back, and that's what happened. Like I thought I was really happy. I'm not gonna lie. When I scored on Sid, I was like, hey, that's what it is. I was happy on that one. I was like, my first shot on him, yeah. But
I was not happy. I can tell you that right now.
I'm sure you weren't.
Damn it! It was fucking Maddie who scored on me. I'm not at all happy about this.
You heard the gunshots ringing on our side, but
I heard the brap.
You know what? you heard it in your head, right?
I did. Was not happy.
But you guys took the game and you guys won it fair and square, and that's what it is. We're gonna turn it around. I have no doubt in my mind. I don't think we're a team that's gonna stay down there. I think we're a team that's gonna make it to the playoffs. And you know what? It's right now. It's unfortunate. We have to deal with it. We just have to rally the troops and go at it, and this is what's going to happen.
We'll talk more about your team when we start talking about the Eastern Atlantic. But let's just get back on the other side of it and talk a little bit to Advanced about Belleville. And I mentioned, you've got Grazi, Real Demon, and Kitty King as a line who are 3-0 this past week. 25 goals, 27 assists, a plus 15 for that line. And obviously they're in the tops they're in the top 5, I think, all three of them, or at least in the top 10 in scoring. And so you guys get off to a good start. What did you guys say after this week? Is there a tempering of the excitement about how good your team can play, or what are you guys telling each other as far as how you guys wound up this first week?
I, first of all, made a joke that he was a scrub hunter. First thing I said to him. No, they're a very good line. They find each other well in the offensive zone. They have a decent breakout. Our defense is getting better, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be shaky at the beginning, We kind of formed our team. Our idea was like a 500K army.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of worked that way, but not really. But our defense is they're practicing a lot, so they're getting better. And we have a very good goalie. We have two pretty good goalies. But Soupy's playing amazing. When he was playing in our game, he had 2 penalty shot saves, which was not something you ever expect.
No.
So he's a very good goalie. But yeah, that we call them our second line because we want to give the Frenchies the first line. So we call them our second line, and they just destroyed for some. I was watching the games and they were getting in the slot a lot. There was a lot of cross creases that were happening, and the other team just didn't seem to be stopping that. Or at the same time, you have to understand that Graz is a very good left wing. Demon's a really good center, and Kitty King's a damn good right wing. So when you have them all and they're all good at passing, they're all good at shooting, and they can beat all of you around the corners and just into the slot, there's only so much you can do. You can only stop so many times, so many people. So they're a very good line, and I think they're going to do very well this season.
Yeah.
My line's not going to get as many points, though.
I watched the game against the Devils on Sunday, and that was a triple overtime match. Of course, yeah, it's the first day of the league, and some of the play was a bit sloppy, but you guys were down 3-1 after 2, came back to tie the Devils, and it's funny. You talk about goaltending. Cabbage for you guys and Croc on the other side made some great saves in the overtime, going to 3 overtimes before you guys finally took that one. The Devils seem to be, at least right now after week 1, I don't know how accurate it is, but they seem to be the team that is going to another team that's going to be a big problem in this division.
Yeah, they're going to be another good team again. They were good last season. They beat out the Marlies and made it to their the Eastern Finals where they lost to the Checkers somehow. And I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think the Checkers are going to make it, but I didn't think they were going to make it last time until the whole double tagging thing. So that's a different situation. Birmingham Devils are going to be a good team. They got some good players. Squid's really good. So they're gonna have a good couple lines. Their defense is good, slamtastic. It's gonna be a fun. We're in a fun division. We're in a fun little division where it's your team, my team, and Birmingham are all gonna really be. Hopefully, we can all stay up neck and neck, or maybe you guys can fade a bit and we'll go up. But it'll be a fun one. It'll definitely be a fun season.
And I'll throw this out to all you guys. Get a quick 30 seconds out of you. Any team surprise positively or negatively so far after week 1? Is there anybody that you saw what they did this first week and you say, okay, I didn't expect that out of them? For instance, I would say I'm a little surprised of Colorado just because they had players returning. And I expected that team to be a little tougher. And, obviously if you look at their numbers, they weren't bad, starting off 2-6-1. Obviously the record doesn't show it, but a little surprised that they've stumbled a little bit out of the blocks in week 1. That's one that kind of stood out to me. Anything, Six, do you have any team or any situation you thought was a little surprising to you?
Yeah, Hartford, right? I know
that's where I was going.
Yeah, I know Maddie talked about it a bit too, but you look at that team when we were doing our reviews. And
I came back just for that.
You don't see an 6-3 start, right?
Yeah.
You just didn't see that on paper, and like he said, hopefully they pick it back up and work forward. But that
we
would
will.
be one of the
We will.
surprises. To see a 0 on the board for any team after the first week, it's tough to swallow, right? So.
Right.
They got a big uphill battle, and hopefully they take it on and get this. So
DeGrave, you were going to say that too. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. So, they have a pretty good team. I'm not going to lie. I've been looking at their roster and just seeing the teams and the standings, and they have a good squad. They have pretty solid defense too. So we've lost some close games on our end as well. A lot of 2-1. Or 3-2, 2-1 games, overtime games we lost. sometimes you just have that bad puck luck and just can't find a way to finish the games, and maybe that's what occurred that week for them. I think they'll have a better upside this week coming up, seeing some trades and stuff being moved around. So, maybe they'll have better luck this week and perform a little bit better, but they got the squad.
Advanced, anything stick out to you? Before we get to you, Maddie, I'll let you get your 2 cents in.
And I did want to give Advance, a heads up that he does have a pretty tough schedule, since he does have to play the Stars tonight, and yeah, the Grays will be in. So good luck.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that one. I thought Stockton Heat was actually a bit better than they are.
All right.
So that kind of surprised me. Because they got some good players. They got Scotch, who was the bidding MVP last season with $6 million, and their management team's pretty good, right? So I thought they were gonna be better. And I also thought
they just got Scotch, didn't they?
We'll talk about all the trades because Stockton made a few. Yeah, they just got him. So
that'll be next week.
Yeah.
That'll be next week. They'll find out. Okay. So then other than that, the Colorado is also someone I thought would be a bit better. But for the only thing I can think of for a plus side for Colorado is you're also with the Grand Rapids at the bottom there. And I think they are a better team than the Grand Rapids. So even if you do a shit season, you're probably not going to end last in your division. So there's your little silver lining.
You're throwing in the towel for them at week 1, are you?
There's a couple teams I thought right away were going to crumble. I thought Checkers, when my team beat them 14-3, I thought they were going to just absolutely fall apart. But they didn't. All their guys still played 3 games, and no one's quitting yet. So that's always nice to see.
I thought it was pretty interesting how the Moose lose game 1 of the season, and you're thinking they're coming out hot, and they lose game, and then they go out on a 8-game win streak. I thought that was, to bounce back from game 1 loss, their kind of mentality they have going into the season. I thought that was pretty interesting how they just flipped that real quick and made it an 8-game win streak.
Yeah, that's called a false sense of security. They want so they can beat us all after.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, okay. Never
mind. Let's get on trades here quickly and talk about that a little bit before we start talking about each division. You mentioned Stockton advanced, and they did wind up making a bunch of trades, moving a bunch of players. They did pick up Scotch and Dufresne from Hershey for Leifer and Ched. I think that's a good move. Scotch is not only a good player, but he's a good leader too, and I think having somebody like that on your team never hurts. Then they wound up making a trade, picking up business and maple syrup from the Rampage for Kingley, Snipes, Killer, ZQC, and Wizard in Black. So quite a few players moving. Now it's good to get a guy like Scotch, but let me just get your opinion about the idea of moving so many players right after week 1. Is it situational 6? Is it like, okay, you played week 1 and you saw enough to say it's time now to move all these players around, or is it do you think maybe this could be a little bit of panic setting in for Stockton?
Yeah, every season it's the same thing, right? You always have one team that starts throwing guys around like crazy real early. I'm of the mindset most of the time that yes, it's too early to start going crazy and dishing people and turning over your whole roster. But also there's sometimes that some things that we don't see right from the outside. Like you don't see in the Discord. You don't know what kind of attitudes these guys are having or what kind of chemistry is in the Discord or in the lobbies that they're in and things like that. And if there's 1 or 2 guys that are really, a problem, then yeah, you blow it up and you blow it up as quick as possible to hopefully rebound as quick as possible. I've been lucky that the guys I've gotten in my squads on my teams have been pretty good throughout the season, a couple here and there, but my personal opinion is I would not blow it up. I wouldn't blow it up that early unless I had a serious issue.
Right.
Yeah, but for them, it makes sense, right? They needed to move, and Scotch that's a good one. That's a good addition.
I love watching teams blow up.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Advance likes to watch hurricanes and tornadoes too, but
I absolutely love it. I just love watching, like, holy crap, we are in so much trouble right now. We need to do absolutely everything we can. I love that mentality.
You like the grinders that are stuck in the bottom of the barrel and want to come up? Is that it? And gnawing their way in.
Yeah, I love the
Get back
teams at
out
the
of it.
bottom who are like, we have to trade our shitty players to other teams, but all we're gonna get back is other shitty players. But who cares? We're getting other shitty players.
You still have a spot.
Yeah, I know. They can't get rid of me.
Toilet paper
stuck
for
there.
toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right.
another one we saw was, we saw iPass U-Score get bounced around a little bit. Now he's on San Diego, I believe. Was that his last stop? I think that was. Him and Mark T. Sib heading over to the Gulls for No Frills and G-Pig. Again, iPass and G-Pig are guys that drive me nuts as a goaltender. Really good players, know how to puck handle well, and veterans of the division.
Well, Frizz is in the. Unless I saw it wrong, I think he got waived.
Okay. That was the original trade. So yeah, what's going on after that is I haven't looked at all the waiver moves, but certainly some big names there. San Diego actually made quite a few moves, and a couple with the Comets. So a two-part trade where 2 for 2, moving 4 players around, and again that's a lot of movement for these teams. San Diego picking up Typhoon and Tron the Don, and then also picking up Dangle 777 and KC. Moving along Greek and Shuda and Bullet Show and Outstand. Again, a lot of movement for the team, and I understand the mentality of it because it is only 9 weeks, and very quickly within 3-4 weeks you could really be behind the 8 ball. So you can be a little afraid of that, but I don't know. I don't know what else you would do to maybe change the situation, and when's it too late to make that change?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. You just got to hope you're doing the right thing, right? Experience helps there, right? The guys who have been in management longer, I think, have a little bit more experience with the process and how things play out. But if you don't make a move and come week 3, you're way behind the 8 ball, like you said. Now your struggle is real. So it's just I don't know, DeGraves, what would you do if you were in that situation?
I mean, I've been in.
I know you have, yeah.
So I mean, man, you have guys and the bad guys on the team. You have the good guys that want to out or wear it, just wear it and move on to next season and stick around. And then you have the not so understanding guys. And honestly, I have that level of where I just get enough and it's like, all right, that's it. We all have lives here as managers and other shit to do. So for me, I don't really care. You could be a good buddy of mine and you get to that level and it's like, whatever, man. I'm here to win. I'm here to win, go to playoffs and win a Calder. That's what I'm here to do. I don't care. No hard feelings. We can play outside of here. That's what a lot of the managers now have a hard time doing is just getting rid of those buddies.
Right.
I honestly don't. If they're good, I'm trying to make the best for my team. And when your team's going to shit, you just got to make that move. I do it early because it gives you those extra weeks to
get established,
build your chemistry,
established, and build it up. At least you have a couple extra. But if you in week 3 and week 4, you're scrambling around trying to get those lines meshed together, and by then it's like, well, shit, tossing the hands up, and that's how I do it early. If it's going downhill, I'm doing it.
So let's talk about
move.
Yeah, let's talk about the move that you made picking up Tyler Lokey, and just give us an idea, DeGraves, of what your mindset is of picking up Tyler. Not a goaltender this season. What have you seen that makes you feel like he can be a good part of your team?
Yeah, I mean, I played with Tyler. He's a buddy of mine. He played in leagues with me, and he's good. He's a good winger. All up eligible. This $10 million goalie, this $10 million NHL player. I mean, it's just I'm doing a move that and whatnot, but I've seen him play winger, and he's really good, and I'm right wing, and so I just made him traded away someone that wasn't useful for me, So,
Right.
I mean, he's a great player. He knows the game as a goalie. Sibbs. I mean, like he understands the game and he plays it the right way, and so I made the move for him, and it is what it is. We actually been trying for him since day one to get him, so it wasn't just like a random occasion. We've been trying with Tickle My Sack Kick for a while, so we got him finally. Glad to have you, Tyler.
I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Hey, let's move on to what the divisions have done so far this first week, and we'll talk about the teams and the players a little bit. And we're going to start with the Eastern Atlantic, and Maddie can help us out with this a little bit. We see Springfield on top at 5-3-1, the Bears at 5-4, along with the Pens and the Tigers. Lehigh Valley 4-5. And Providence 3-5-1, Checkers 3-6, and then again Hartford at 0-6-3. Springfield jumping out, 21 goals against, the best in their division, 13th on the power kill on the penalty kill, and they've got Apparition, so far with a decent season, 2-1, 5 goals, 4 assists. Not a lot of scorers on this team. Big super kid, though, in net, though, 4-2, 87.4% save percentage, 2.07 goals against, and a shutout. And he's had 111 shots against on him, second most in the league. He's averaging 18.5 shots per game. So Springfield,
they're on top.
Yeah, I mean they've gotten some good work in on their guys on their defense, but they're still finding a way to win games.
Well, that's the type of team chemistry you need. I mean, it's not about having one player in particular that's going to hold everything together. That's what they're showing right now. And like I said, at the beginning of the first show, I had a feeling that they were going to come on top in that sense because they're well established. They're all around and they're looking for wins, and you could see that right now, and they're on top. It doesn't matter how many shots are going to come in; they're going to come out as a team and come out at it in this case to get the W's. I mean, they're 5-3-11, right? But they're still on top of the seed, and they're just making it work. Like you said, the goaltending's been outstanding. He's been holding the team on his shoulders in that end, and standing on his head, and he's been doing what he has to be doing. And at the end of the day, I'm not surprised. I thought that they were going to be on top. It was no surprise to most of us in this case, right?
But it is a pretty competitive division, though. It's not like anyone's running away with anything.
No, nobody's running away with anything, but they're still on top of the board here because you don't necessarily need an outstanding player to make all the points, do everything. Sometimes it's going to be team chemistry that takes over any team. It's when some people are going to have to go push for the same way, right?
Right.
That's how I see it.
I think it's going to be a fun one too. I think the Eastern Atlantic is going to be a fun division to watch. Just because I think
it's going to be up and down.
Yeah, but it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be super close for the most part throughout the whole season because they're all fair. They're not like all high end teams. They're not a super low team. They're all middle ground, mediocre teams that are just going to chill, and it'll be a fun little race.
Yeah, and when the playoffs happen, you never know what can happen. It's like it is what it is, right? The more you play with people, the more you're going to get chemistry, the more you're going to adapt to the type of gameplay, and that's what's going to make it happen, right?
You've got Hershey and the Pens at 5-4, tied for second place in this division. Hershey with 3-on-3, and his record of 3-0 this week. 5 goals, 8 assists. He's 12th in scoring. They are second in the league on power play, 40.9%. 10th on the penalty kill. 9 power play goals, tied for first for most power play goals in the league. So they obviously can know how to put the puck in the net, know how to take advantage of the extra man. The Pens, they've got Kornick. He's right up there, top 3, I think he is. If I'm not mistaken, he's 4th. He's number 4 in scoring, and so he's Kornick. He's going to get you. He's going to get you a lot of points and a lot of opportunities to put the puck in the net and wins. Obviously, yeah.
He's 3-0 right now with 10 goals and 7 passes in terms of stats. He's killing it.
Yeah, 17 points on the season, and already big jump for him.
You kind of hope that though with a $6 million contract,
right?
You kind of would.
Getting paid for it, you might as well make it work.
Yeah.
We mentioned Bridgeport, also at 5-4, 3 overtime wins, the most in the league for anyone so far. They
play well under pressure.
Yeah. Problem, one of their problems I'm looking at is 25th in time on attack differential with a minus 16.5 minutes, and I some of those stats can tell you a little bit about what the situation is that's going on, and when you obviously are lacking that much and how much you're holding on to the puck, that means you're defending a lot more. It means you're getting less chances. So, I think maybe Bridgeport has to be a little more concerned about that.
And here's something that I kind of want to ask you is it with Bridgeport, because they have 3 overtime wins, can you make the argument that they're just a clutch team and they get it done when they need to? Or is it one of those situations where you go, if it just went the other way, now you're looking at a 2-7 week.
Right.
So maybe you're staying in it, but maybe you just can't finish. You can't really get what you need in the regular time. So it's an iffy one with that one. I don't know how they're going to do this season.
Isn't that the fun part of week 1, though? We don't know how they're going to deal with this, quite honestly. I mean, right now on the surface, it looks like they might be a clutch team. It's all speculation. It's slightly better speculation than the preseason, but it's not. We have 1 week's worth of a footprint to look at right now, and it's not a whole heck of a lot.
It's true, but I'll put it this way: I'm just kind of basing this now off of goals for and against. They're down by 12.
Correct.
So I guess the games are losing. They're getting more blown out. So I don't know how they're really going to do it. They could have easily, I guess, been a 2-7 week. So that's for some. That's something that we'll find out later on. But teams that typically go negative in goals and against is not usually a promising sign this early on.
Lehigh Valley at 4-5 in 5th place, 24 goals for, the second lowest in the division. And, they've got John Kenny and Filthy Puck and BDs who they outscored their opponents 16-4 this week. All of them, of course, going 3-0. All of them at about a +11 this week. So they seem to have a decent line that's working there. Whether or not they can get a couple more going, we'll find out. Providence 3-5-1. They're in 6th place. Charlotte 3-6-1 in 7th. The thing about Charlotte that I like, Tar in net 2-4, 82.5 though save percentage, 2.62 goals against, 5th in shots against, and so that's part of the problem that he's running up against. But he's still putting up decent numbers. But 51 goals against, the worst in the league, and that's not going to help you out. And of course, we talked about Hartford earlier. We've got a couple of teams. I think maybe the overall thing about this division is we got a couple of teams that are struggling hard early. But this division is pretty close to each other, and it's very attainable to get back into it.
No, absolutely. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be moving up and down the list there.
We'll move on to the East and North, and we got a few more guys here now that can talk about this division. I think 3 of us are in it. So, the Marlies are on top right now, 8-1, first in the division. I2797, who's a veteran of this league, been around for a while, 19th in scoring, 7 goals, 4 assists. he went 3-0 this week. And if, of course, the starting goaltender on this team, as I like to say, Fishy Dangles at 5-1, 85 save percentage, 1.98 goals against. On a 6-game winning streak, 19 goals against, not bad in this league. 2-0 in 1-goal games. Middle of the pack in a lot of other stats. But seemingly my team, Toronto, is able to able to find the wins when we can. We've been down a couple of games and have come back, and that's been a good sign for us. Belleville.
Sibs, do you have the loss?
No, I didn't. I don't have the loss. Fishy has the loss.
Oh.
Before we move on, I kind of want to ask about this too. I and his line, would you consider them to be your first line?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, to me, the funny thing is, there are a lot of these guys here that I don't know a lot about, quite honestly, on my team. So, for me to say that, I don't know. It's if it's not one, it's two. It's obviously it's one of the top ones. 1A or 1B. I would put it at. And look, he's been around forever. He is when he's got the right guys around him, he is a spectacular player who knows how to play with his line mates well. I remember him a couple of seasons back on Chicago, and I'm trying to remember who his other line mates were. I know Prince of Zeus was one of them, and they just seemed to mesh so well together and knew where each other was going to be. And is that kind of player. He knows how to play with his line mates. He figures it out with them, and it always seems like he knows where those guys are going to be, and that's why he's always so successful in my mind.
Yeah, he does well. I'm also pretty surprised that I don't know if that was just the strategy of your team, but Deer Hunter's clearly on the third line, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I didn't know that you'd put him there, but you guys got two really solid first lines, and your third line has a very good center. So center controls a lot of the gameplay.
Look, I'd love to be able to say that Deer Hunter's on the third line because he's a damn good player, and if that's the third line, I'm happy as hell with it.
Hey, I'm on the third line.
Exactly. There's a reason for it.
So let's move on to Belleville.
You're going to get it, man. You play my team. Watch what happens.
We'll play you. Just make sure you're in.
So we talked about your team. You're 7-2, second in the division. We talked about that line of Grazi, Real Demon, and Kitty going 3-0 this week. And, beating Hartford, Charlotte, and Laval, and quite honestly, their combined record 7-15-6. So, maybe I won't say scrub hunter, but maybe not playing the best teams just yet. But
I didn't say it.
Still putting up those kind of numbers, though. I don't care who you're playing; it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and our goals for and against are astounding so far. We're leading it in goals against, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in.
Right. Yeah, you guys have the best goal differential of a +29. So that, again, to your point, you guys have been able to do a heck of a good job. Second in goals against at 18, and that's pretty impressive.
And it should be 17. I'll tell you that right now, because I was playing on the Wednesday game, and we were, I think, 10 seconds away from a shutout, and EA did EA things. So I was really hoping Soupy could get his second shutout there, and he didn't, which is unfortunate. But we're a solid team this year, and I'm excited to see how far it's going to go. We did just trade JLB. I think the NHL guys have got a guy that they're keeping. So we called our buddy Ethan back up, and we'll see how this week goes.
And let's talk about the team that you did play a triple overtime with, the Binghamton Devils. They're 6-2. They are either 3-0-1 in 1-goal games, sixth in penalty kill, dead even on time of attack, third most penalty minutes, and it's Davey, Galley, who are both 3-0, both +9. Davey is 14th in scoring, and of course Croc in net. 5-1, 83 save percentage, 2.23 goals against, and a shutout. 89 shots on him, the sixth highest in the league so far, and he's been pretty solid for that team.
Those penalties are going to bite you in the ass, though. I'll tell you that right now. You can only take so many penalties before it starts adding up on you.
And then we've got Syracuse at 6-3. They're fourth in the division. the line of Lafleur, Real Dudester, and J4. 20 goals in 3 games up for this line. They are 3-0 for the week, plus 13. Again, another one of those teams that may quietly find their way moving up in the league, in the division, if they keep on this rate. Let's talk about Rochester next. And at 5-4, tied for 5th place, 21 goals against. That's tied for 7th in the league. 10th on the power play, 19th penalty kill. 10th on time of attack, which is good, a plus 10.5 in minutes, and the 8th least penalty minutes. So all good numbers. And at 5-4, like you said earlier, Six, that's a record you don't mind taking after week 1.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like I said, last year too, we got out to just a blazing start and where we ended. So, with a first round knockout, it's a slow season. A lot of things come, right. To throw Advanced under the bus, because I wouldn't be myself if I didn't.
Sure.
You get ahead of yourself way too quickly. You end up finding out later in the season that things start evening out a little more. Like I said, we were ahead all last season and being chased by the Moose, chased by, all these teams. And then we ended up getting taken over later in the season. Stuff happens, trades happen, NHL takes players. Things happen to change the dynamic. And I think to stay over 500 and just stay the course is the way to go. As far as my team goes, there's no panic. There's no worry at all. I've got good players. J-Rick's line struggled a little bit. My AGM's line struggled a little bit early this week. Ended up finding it, getting it together, and getting a win at the end of the week. There's a lot of good teams. I'm excited about this week because we're playing a little bit of a weaker division as of week 1. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll stay the course, and I'm happy where we're at. Not 100% satisfied and happy, but we're doing fine. So
well, get used to mediocrity, my friend.
Yeah, well, you've had that your whole career. Look at your numbers.
Uh-oh.
Look at this guy.
Right.
Look at this guy.
Oh,
Damn.
there's gonna be a fight going on.
Damn.
When do you guys play next again?
I don't know.
It's gonna be probably next week, I would assume.
Man, that's a smackdown right there.
I'll tell you right now.
I'll close your line out. I'm not too worried about it. You're better on defense anyway.
Okay.
There's some trash
I was
talking
good on
happening.
defense. I was good on defense.
Bottom of the division, Laval at 4-3-1. They're tied for 5th. 2 overtime wins, 2 overtime losses in the week, and it's a lot of overtime for them. They're 4th in power play. Baron Arctic, one of the guys, maybe one of the better players on the team. 4 goals, 5 assists, a -1. But Price in net, he's 2-4, but 82.4 save percentage, 3.37 goals against. He has the most shots against in the league at 119, and that might be where Laval's
already
got a bit of an issue. Yeah.
Whew.
So that's obviously getting too many shots on net is part of their problem. We'll wrap up with Utica here, 2-6-1, 17 goals for, the second lowest in the league. Power play, penalty killing, time on attack near or at the bottom of the league. 8th most penalty minutes. Just not going incredibly well for them, and maybe not quite the Utica team from last season, but they're struggling right away in this one.
Typically, when you have a team that has that much cap room at the end of bidding, something went wrong. Either you spread out too thin, and you just didn't get the picks, and by the time you got your money back, you couldn't get more guys. It was too late, or whatever happened. I feel bad. That's a fold up and throw away type of situation right now.
Hey, let's move on to the Western Central and talk a little bit about what's going on there. Manitoba picking up right where they left off, 8-1 on the season so far this week, 2 overtime wins. As you see, Iowa there at 6-2, Chicago at 6-3. Iowa 6-2-1, and Chicago at 6-3. Manitoba, of course, JMM, Brian adores Liz, Bertone now.
I love that. Weakest PSN name of all time.
just doing a heck of a week at 3-0. And look at their goaltenders. Dr. Nasty was a guy last year who they just didn't have room for. And now that they do, 5-1, 82.5 save percentage, under 2 goals against, 2 shutouts, Churchy also 3-0 this week, 90 save percentage, under a goal a game, and a shutout there as well in net. Their net is absolutely set. And then one more guy I want to talk about, Chief Trout, because he's a guy I've played with in the past. Solid player, good personality that you want on the team, good team player, and you know, always tough to find good right Ds, and he is a great pickup for them. I wasn't sure how well Manitoba might have reloaded, but they are cocked and ready for this season. They just seem to be picked up right where they left off last season. Iowa. I'm sorry.
They got good management. They got good management too. I mean, you know, they got good guys that have been there and good leadership there. You know, so I think everybody that has shown up there is just trusting the process. You know,
Right.
Coming up, getting chemistry. I know. You know, they play a lot together. So, and they have in the past recent couple seasons. So I mean, they got plenty of chemistry to toss around. So. I mean, you can't really complain about the Moose. They're going to be like this all year.
You mentioned Iowa at 6-2-1. They've got the best time on attack, almost 29-plus minutes there of anyone in the league. They've got Jones in net, who I think is, you know, if he stays on the way I know he can play, he's going to be a big benefit for them in net. He's 4-1 already, 1.59 goals against, 87, almost 88 save percentage. You know, he was a key to Hartford's success. He's been in the NHL for the last few seasons, but now back with Iowa. If he sticks with them and doesn't move up, he could be a big key for them. Chicago's got Gumba and Meaty Tendersticks who are playing well for them so far. Again, you look at these top teams, and we hadn't even mentioned Milwaukee at 6-3. You've got the first half of this division, I think, is pretty damn strong.
Yeah, they're serious. They're also going to be another fun division to watch. I think it's going to move a little bit between the top four. I don't know how well the Moose are going to do next week. Once we see that one, I think we'll get a better idea of how the rest of the season may look, provided they don't get ripped apart from their NHL or random silly trades. But Iowa, Chicago, and Milwaukee are going to be fun to watch. And then the bottom half of that's going to be a little bit more of a scramble show, I think.
The rest of the teams, Cleveland at 4-5, Rockford 3-4-2, and then the bottom two, the Griffins and the Eagles, both at 2-6-1. And we mentioned a little bit about Colorado. They're on a 6-game losing streak right now. 40 goals against, the second most in the league. Fifth on the power play, though. One bright spot, 36.4%. Third highest goal differential, 55 penalty minutes. Looks like Colorado right now getting a tough start, maybe a little all over the place. But they could be a team that could wind up moving up quickly and being a problem in this division as well.
I don't know if I'd agree with you on that one, but no? I've looked at the lines and they're a meh kind of line. So we'll see how that goes.
We're not here to agree with each other, all right?
Yeah.
We can disagree. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
Most of these guys disagree with me on a daily basis, so it's not a problem.
It's hard not to.
Advance just throwing daggers today. Pretty soon. Yeah. Pretty soon.
I'm grumpy. I didn't sleep well.
He's worried about tonight.
That's right.
I'm not even playing. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
That's right.
There's no I in team. You're still a team.
Yeah, you're taking on the Frenchie line. Good luck with that.
Love him.
Uh-oh.
He's ducking.
Yeah, you know, Maddie. You know. Frenchie lines don't mess around.
Nope. It's the Quebecers from up north.
There it is.
Up north.
Up north.
Hey,
my buddy,
true north.
My buddy Toasty over there, he had to get subbed out a game because his PlayStation expired, the PlayStation Plus, and he lives in a small village and he couldn't buy another one, so he couldn't play until this week.
That's funny.
We're happy to have him back.
Jeez. Let's finish up and talk about the West. So far, it's Ontario on top again, kind of bunched together here. Not a whole lot of spread between the teams. The Reign at 7-2 right now, topping out that division. San Jose 6-3. Both those teams with a couple of overtime wins. Bakersfield on the other side, a couple of overtime losses. They're 5-2 in third place, so we're tied for second really with San Jose. Texas at 4-3-2. The Gulls at 4-5. Then San Antonio at 3-4-2. A lot of overtime games in this league so far. Tucson 3-5-1, and then Stockton at 3-9. And we talked a little bit earlier about Stockton and what their woes are. 30% on the power play, 66% on the penalty kill, minus 16 minutes on time on attack differential. So I think we're seeing where some of their problems are, and made a lot of moves. Don't know if that's going to necessarily prove to be helpful, but I think I kind of see a reason why Stockton would go ahead and make that many moves in this past week one here.
Yeah, this is also a nice division to watch. Again, you got the Grays with the Stars over there, and that'll be a fun. I like the Grays. I like some of the people on his team. I like making fun of Man a lot, so it'll be a fun team to watch. And the Gulls that's my boy JG,
right?
And he's moving around a lot of people, so we'll see how that goes. He did get my boy Tron the Don. He's a TC AGM for CHL, so I don't know if he really wants to move up right now, but he's a solid defenseman.
Yeah, the Gulls power play struggling a bit, but their penalty killing is up about 94%. We'll talk about the Stars, and since we have the Graves here, and you guys are struggling a little bit on the power play and the penalty kill. What are some of the issues that you think you're seeing right now initially? Is it just a matter of guys getting to know each other, or do you think you have anything that you can specifically pinpoint that you want to work on?
Finishing. I know for pretty much the whole week we were like number 2 in time on attack. So it wasn't the possession of the puck. It was finishing, making the right in the play and putting the puck in the back of the net. And I mean, we had a lot of close games, 1-0 shutouts, 2-1 games, 3-2 games. I mean, it's just we're a great team up and down. I feel like, like Advance was saying, I feel real confident in my team, a hell of a lot confident than last season, that's for sure.
I didn't say you're going to be a good team. I just said you're going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and which is saying that we're going to be a. So expect that, and as far as the division, we pretty much, this is kind of how I predicted it to be. Not necessarily week 1, but maybe down the road, week 3, week 4. Kind of toss up between these teams. The Gulls made some transitions like we were just talking about. I think they made some pretty good moves. iPass is a good dude. He's a good player. He's one of my buddies. He can hoop if he plays with the right people. So it'll be interesting, I know. So, the division is pretty much how I saw it coming out to be. Ontario, they got a good squad. We took them to overtime on Wednesday. They won, obviously. I went 0-2 or 1-0-2 this week, and all overtime games. So, we're playing a lot of close games. Our defense is stout. Really excited about our defense. The defense in our division is actually pretty good. We played a lot of tough lines. So I think for the lines that we played, our outcome was pretty solid. And I think our division is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a pretty big battle up and down.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the overtimes again, because if your team didn't lose his overtimes, now you're sitting 6-3 and you're tied with the CUDA.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, those games, exactly. If we just would have put the puck in the net, I mean, if I can remember right, going before, in regulation, we had just some horrible goal, and with 4 minutes left in the third, it's just like that little, puck luck that can change the game, and momentum, like Luke was saying, like, man, that stuff is that's real. Momentum's huge in this game, and so you don't let them get that momentum, and I think that had a lot of what had happened for us in week 1.
Yeah, you gotta love the DDA.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
Hey, one last thing I wanted to talk about here. Week 2, we've got divisional matchups for the most part: Eastern North against the Western Pacific, and Eastern Atlantic against West Central. Um, again, you're trying to feel out your own division a little bit, and after week 1, you kind of got a little bit of a sense of what you're up against if you've played everybody or almost everybody. And now you have to play a different division that you're not directly battling for a playoff spot necessarily. So. Is there any mentality of how you take these games? Or do you think about these any differently, 6, than you would in division games or in conference games, or is it the same process?
Yep, same process. The only thing I try to do is when I'm playing the matchups, right? Trying to play the matchups, put my best lines against the best teams in the divisions, right? It as a rule of thumb, right? Availability comes in there, but you never know there too, right? You may make a mistake. You may get the first line for the last place team, right? Which is
right.
Got all their wins or is the best team in that, you just never know. I would say that the mindset going into it though, like I said earlier, it's nice playing out a division for a week, especially after you played a couple in division last week, right? It kind of gives you a little bit less pressure because those in division games are monsters, right? Those are the ones that make or break you.
Right.
When you're out at I think we're even out of we're out of conference too, right? So
Yep.
that's even. I mean, it's even better. It makes it a little bit easier because if you do drop a game or two, you're not dropping, direct points to the guys that are ahead of you or chasing you. So.
So we've got, of course, games starting up tonight, and part of what you were just saying before was about matchups, and we obviously know a lot of these guys who are in the AHL. We've played against them for a couple of seasons. Maybe we know some of the guys from the C because we've had them as call-ups. Do we know enough about everybody in the AHL right now to say that we understand who everyone's 1, 2, and 3 line is? Do you guys feel comfortable saying I can look at a roster and tell you who number 1, 2, and 3 is?
Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I don't think it's possible yet. You can kind of look and see what the history of the past week was, but once you get into week 3, week 4, week 5, then you can really see the history on who primarily plays with who, what matchups that you feel are better defensively is for me most important, right? What 2 D-men am I going to put against their top forwards, or if this guy gets subbed out, who do I play against them? But I agree with DeGraves and like Advance said too. There's just no way at this point you can tell because you don't know. I mean, the lines get shuffled, people get moved. It's the matchups for me are so important. It's the most important thing, and where I was successful last season was playing the matchups instead of playing availability. Right? A lot of GMs, my first couple seasons as manager, I just played availability. Right? Who could play here? Who could play here? We'll just get it. It doesn't work.
Right.
It really doesn't work. You
really
you'll get torn apart.
Yeah, you really got to try your best to keep these guys as solid as possible. And then, when you see those guys coming back at you, you know what D-men to put in place.
Go ahead, Vance. Let's get your opinion on this.
I agree with him a lot, actually. But here's the funny thing is that the teams that are now kind of struggling that you kind of look at and think, okay, this will be their first, this will be their second, this will be their third line. Mm-hmm. Because they're not doing well, it's usually around the second or third week that now they start really shuffling their lines. You're like, oh, great. Now the top lines, I kind of know, the top teams, I kind of know what they're doing, but the bottom ones now it's a shit show. And how do you place that kind of thing? How do you know which ones you should put for those teams if they just swamp one of their lines with their best players just so they can get at least 3 a week?
Right.
So you never really know. Luckily for me, I don't deal with that stuff. That's all demon. So
you'd be losing. You'd make bad mistakes. I know.
I don't. I don't even know how to. I literally don't even know how to make lineups. I don't even. I'm so bad with this shit.
Let's go to the league with that. GMs have to be involved.
I'm an AGM. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, and I know DeGraves, I think, was going to chime in as well about understanding where who your 1, 2, and 3 is. Do you even have an idea about that on your own team?
No, I don't actually.
Okay.
That's not good.
Not yet. I know who we don't really have one. We have I feel like we're all the same players, like I can throw any line at any day. They win, they win. They lose, they lose. I mean, you only get better playing the better team. So,
Right.
If a weaker line plays a top line, then whatever. If they beat them, hell, they beat them. I don't go up by that. I go get better by playing better teams, whether you win or not. So, can't shuffle
Great.
my line.
Great. Do you have 3 set lines though, or are you still shuffling?
Yeah, we have 3 set lines for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and everyone's availability is beautiful. So
Yeah.
I mean, I did my schedule in literally 3 minutes. So
Nice.
a week.
nice.
So yeah, I'm
2 days.
Maddie, are you struggling? Are you guys shuffling?
Right now, I was playing in different lines. I think it's also the availability of people that is happening.
Sure.
I know I'm going to have probably a game with Intro 99 probably this week. I know I'm going to have a game with Better Made and Teabag. So I know that it's going to be a little bit shuffling here and there. I don't think we have a set line yet because, it's the beginning of the season. We're trying to get the chemistry going, trying to get the guys to all rile up and process who's going to play with who. I know for a fact that, Better Made and Teabag are like a set line. They're a deal, right? So they come as a pack. I know I'm going to have a game with them, I think, later on. I know I have 2 games. I didn't check the lineup. But I think it's going to be something that we're going to work on for sure. And like I said, the beginning of the season, we're starting it on a rough note, but we're going to turn it around. I have
So just some final thoughts about week 2, Maddie. We'll go back to you here quickly. Obviously, you guys looking to bounce back. What have you guys been talking about leading into this week?
Well, just simple play. It's all about simple play right now, right? It's all about putting the puck down deep and getting it down there, getting some shots on net. Keep it simple, and things will happen. You throw it on net, it's going to bounce there, it's going to get a rebound, and something's going to click your way, and that's what we have to focus on.
That was Providence's like go-to thing last season. Like, we cannot get anything going, just throw everything low.
Yep, get a low shot, get a rebound, it'll tip in or whatever the case. It's simple hockey. We have to stay with simple hockey. Not hold on to the puck too much. Cycle the puck, get everybody a touch on the puck, and just work it around. Take up the clock in the offensive zone, so you don't have to worry about anything in the defensive side at that end. But it'll happen. It's the breakouts too that we have to work on as well, and that as well a couple of games.
I hope I play the Wolfpack this week. Woo! I know.
Wow.
It's gonna be a different week. Let me tell you.
Oh, okay.
I hope. I have my fingers crossed at least.
Hey, Advance, what's your immediate game plan for week 2? What are you guys looking for here?
We're just gonna. I've let Demon do all the lines, so I just kind of show up and do our thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how our team's done what what we've matched up with. I'm not gonna tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you that I like what Demon's done for this week. There's a little bit of availability kind of issues of why you move certain lines, but we have 3 set lines. We don't shuffle them. We know exactly what we're doing, and I think we're gonna do fine. For next week, though, I'm watching the Heat because we're playing their division. All 3 of us are, and I think the Heat may actually jump ahead a bit. At least jump the Roadrunners. Maybe the Rampage. We'll see how they go. But we're probably one of the tougher divisions. So we'll see how that goes.
And last 2 guys also in management. DeGraves, what do you look to accomplish in week 2?
Win. Go 9-0.
Okay. Besides the obvious.
Sorry, my daughter's sitting next to me. So
I got
left.
you. Well. Well, I tell you what. Let's let 6 get the last word. What are you looking to accomplish with the Americans here?
Yeah, stay the course, do what we can do to win. I'd like to pick it up and put a 6 on the board, go 6-3. I'd be happy there. Like Advance said, we're playing from week one of the weaker divisions. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see how things shake out. And, you never know. Like he was saying, Stockton, they could shock a couple of us this week. We'll see. It'll be nice to see where the division ends up too after playing all these teams, right? Just to see what these guys can do.
Right.
So.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thanks for joining me once again. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good week too.
Love you, Six.
I don't know.
Yeah, buddy.
Don't know if I'm playing any of you jokers, but if I am, I hope you lose. Obviously.
No Toronto on the schedule.
I like you guys, but I honestly don't care if I obviously want you to be shut out. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Of course, if I'm in net, that's probably not necessarily going to happen. So.
Right.
Just stay still.
Well, apparently I'm playing the toughest division.
Well,
really buckle up.
Good luck.
All right, guys.
Good luck,
Thanks.
boys.
We'll talk to you next week. That's it for the show this week. Thanking the Graves, 6'9", Advanced, and Matty Lucci. This is T-Sip saying so long, everyone. We'll talk to you next week, and have a good week, too.